What up, everybody? Monet finally got her revenge on Zeke's true killer, Lorenzo, after lying to her for months and watching her lose her mind for the second straight episode, moving like a master chess player, setting everything in motion for Lorenzo's death. But unlike her flawless victory in taking down Detective Whitman, this time she left herself exposed in a couple ways. After seeing Lorenzo's fingerprints at Zeke's crime scene and confirming through Tariq that IG wasn't Zeke's killer because he was out of the country at the time, it was time for Monet to put a plan into play. And if Monet gonna do anything, she gonna put a plan together. I've talked about Effie being a chess player and Ghost being a master chess player, but you gotta give it to Monet Tejada. She right up there with the best of them. Lorenzo said back in season 2 she's been 2 steps ahead her entire life. Also in the most recent episode that she don't ever show her hand. But it was her first 2 moves where she messed up. First checking with Kane and who told him IG killed Zeke, not knowing that Kane already knew that Lorenzo killed Zeke and that he was keeping the secret for his pops. After this, Monet went to visit Evelyn Castillo to let her know that Lorenzo had put a hit out on her husband Frank from the inside when he found out that Frank was snitching. But Evelyn decided that she wasn't going to seek revenge because it wasn't worth risking something happening to one of her boys. When Monet was leaving, she asked Evelyn if she could trust her, and Evelyn's reply was, "Just as much as I can trust you." Which is not very much considering Monet has been lying to Evelyn ever since she was introduced to now. Then Gordo showed up to pick up Drew, but Monet didn't just come out and tell Gordo like she did Evelyn. She tested him first to see where his head was at and if he would seek revenge or let it go like his mom. Once she found out he would seek revenge, she gave Gordo the tip of Lorenzo putting a hit out on his dad Frank, even though we didn't see this into action on camera. But reminder that Monet was actually the person who put the hit out on Frank and told Kane to kill him. Lorenzo didn't have nothing to do with it. Then as Lorenzo is being killed, Monet has her alibi already in motion as she is at home playing spades with her 3 remaining children, utilizing Power Law 25, keep your hands clean. So this way neither law enforcement or her children would expect her to have anything to do with Lorenzo's death. But it ain't gonna be that easy for Monet because Kane knows for sure that she is behind Lorenzo's death, and Kane and Lorenzo have been bonding like never before ever since Lorenzo saved Kane's life in the shootout. And this is all Kane has ever wanted. Lorenzo had chosen Drew to take over the family business, even though at the time he didn't even want it, and it came as a complete surprise to him. But Kane had spent his whole life trying to fill Lorenzo's shoes as the man of the house, only to be rejected when Lorenzo was released. Now that Kane and Lorenzo finally just got cool again, I'm expecting Kane to take his father's death very hard, as we see him taking Lorenzo's Jesus piece and saying family first in the trailer. With that being said, Kane won't seek revenge with Monet, but I'm definitely expecting to see a conflict between the two where Kane confronts Monet about this. And whether Monet gives up Gordo or not, he will have a better clue of where to start looking than anyone else will. With that being said, I don't expect Gordo to make it past another episode or 2 because once Kane finds out he killed his dad, Kane gonna do Gordo real bad. And this is when Monet's second mistake will come into play, turning to Evelyn Castillo. Once Evelyn puts the pieces together that Lorenzo was killed, then Gordo was killed, she gonna figure out that Monet was trying to set Lorenzo up and got her son killed in the process. The whole reason she was trying to avoid revenge in the first place. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Evelyn tries to kill Monet herself. Not saying she's gonna be successful, but if this storyline drags out or goes away, she might be the person who eventually does kill Monet. Getting me to where we are right now, Lorenzo's death and funeral. When Drew hears about his dad, he's gonna start moving like an idiot and make a rushed decision, assuming that it was the Russians who killed Lorenzo. He gonna start a beef with the Russians. On top of that, admitting the truth to Gordo how they killed the Russian boss. Monet and Kane will both try to stop Drew from acting so recklessly, but neither one is gonna tell him the truth, and Gordo not gonna tell Drew the truth either. So Drew gonna start a war with the Russians. That's why we see them lighting up Lorenzo's funeral. But I do expect all of the Tejadas to survive this shootout because they all have clips from the season 3 trailer that we haven't saw yet. So there you have it. R.I.P. Lorenzo, a character I couldn't stand, and in my opinion one of the weakest characters in the whole Power universe, other than the cops and some of the kids who go to school with Tariq. I mean, this man's supposed to be some kind of boss, but he goes and kills Zeke thinking he's killing Mecca, only out of jealousy when he finds out Mecca had accounts set up in his kids' names. This man's supposed to be a boss, then can't even tell his wife the truth but lies about it for months. Soft move, not a boss move. Then to make matters worse, he lets his own son Kane son him. And the whole reason I never even liked this man in the first place is how he disrespected Tasha St. Patrick, telling her, "You don't get me on the phone." Bro, you sitting in a jail cell with a burner phone. Where your secretary at? Tasha better than me. I might have just been calling this man's phone to mess with him. What up, boss? Where your secretary at? Then he told Monet that Drew was going to be the one to take over the family business and sent him to handle Lil Guap instead of Kane. Kane would have walked into the GTG spot and handled business with the quickness. Instead, Drew almost got caught on camera and everything, and Kane still had to show up to bail him out. After this, he had Kane beat down by his COs, and I understand wanting to discipline your son for laying hands on your wife. I get it, but using some dirty cops to do it is not the move. Then when he got out of jail, he had no respect for Monet and was so arrogant, but if it wasn't for Monet and Kane, he wouldn't even have came home to anything. Then when finally coming clean to Monet, instead of just manning up, he started acting like it was Monet's fault that Zeke's dead, saying, "You brought Zeke here without preparing him for this life, and you brought Mecca back into our lives." But what did any of that have to do with him shooting Zeke in the back on accident? It was hilarious at Zeke's jersey dedication when Tariq said that Zeke was shot in the back by a coward. And Lorenzo's supposed to have these great instincts and be so street smart, how he let Gordo take him out. Who in the game gonna see a nail or whatever in their tire and just nonchalantly go put a spare on without even checking your surroundings or anything? When I was in the game, I stayed strapped at all times. Gun in the car door, guns in the couches, by the bed, and this how most people in the game act. And I definitely wasn't about to let nobody in the street walk up on me closer than maybe 6-7 feet without pulling my strap out on. And would have just went inside and called a ride home, possibly a tow if the vehicle was somewhere I couldn't have left it at. But nah, not Lorenzo. He too arrogant and proud to be paranoid, and nothing bad could ever happen to him. So he dies a pathetic death with his son's boyfriend standing over him, then texting his wife, "It's done, thanks." And there you have it. Leave your thoughts in the comments.